What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Passion and Precision with myself, co-host Jory Sports Stories. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. It's been a long week.
Yeah, I feel like as you get closer to the summer, the days drag a little bit, especially as it is brighter out later. So I definitely get that. Um, yeah, we have definitely have a lot to talk about. Um, Hold on a second. I feel like is my microphone sounding all right to you?
So it sounds a little muffled.
See, I feel like StreamYard did this again. No, well, I'll have to change that. Yeah. Well, I'm figuring that out. But what's going on, Tony? So yeah, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk some NBA, some NFL, some people making some news that maybe we maybe need to keep it a little hush right now. But first, we want to start with NFL. Uh, Jim Irsay, kind of the news that shocked a lot of people, passed away. Literally, like hours after the owners' meeting and stuff coming out about that, passed away. I know you was a Titans fan. Colts, Titans, obviously the big thing. Like, what were your thoughts when you heard that? I mean, obviously it's tragic. You don't want anybody to obviously die or anything like that. But like, how shocked were you by it?
Very. I was like, when I heard it, I was like, I was reading it in a comment section. I was like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
but it's sad. And Jim Irsay had his flaws, but a lot of people did like him. Me personally, I'm indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
But he was eccentric. He was controversial. One thing you can say about Ursay is he's authentic. He
Yeah.
had and he always had some audacity. He was the one who got Dan Snyder removed.
Mm-hmm.
Takes cojones to do that publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad, but he does leave behind a decently worn team. But he leaves it behind for his daughters. That which I'm excited to see how that's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I am as well to see kind of how she shapes the image of the team. I will say I am trying to figure out the audio thing. For some reason, it's not picking up my microphone, so I'll have to figure that out. So bear with me as I'm doing that behind the scenes here. Um, yeah, it's when you think of the NFL, you think of certain owners. Ursay is one of the guys that pretty recognizable for various reasons. He was one of the more well known owners in the league, so obviously that was very shocking to see. But look, he's leaving behind a legacy, and his daughter hopefully will take that, run with it, and obviously not try to be her dad or anything like that, but maybe she, can soften the image a little bit because there were some, Ursay stories that were a little troubling, but you know, all in all, he, like you said, he was pivotal in the Snyder ousting, which that alone can kind of cover for some of the other crazy stories we heard about him. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, thoughts and prayers with the family and everything like that. But I guess the transition from that, NFL owners, everything, everybody was looking at the tush push vote and how that was going to go. Ultimately, did not get banned. First question: do you think that this is something that will kind of be on the table every owners meeting? Because we know these teams aren't going to let this go. And then your thoughts on it not being banned. Like, are you for the ban or not? Let's start
I'm
there.
against the ban.
Yeah.
Ban. I mean, ban. I'm absolutely against it. If you don't like it, then stop it.
Mm-hmm.
It can be stopped. And the one team that figured out how to stop it had to be the one that the NFL used to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make that make sense. And it was the list of teams who voted against them. You know, Philadelphia should at this point just give Tennessee an honorary ring. At this point, your Patriots, the Lions. I knew Dan Campbell and the Lions weren't going for that. The Eagles, duh. The Ravens, Browns, Jaguars, Dolphins, surprisingly. The Saints and Jets all voted against it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rest of y'all.
Yeah. I like Rabel. His kind of thought on it was like, if you're gonna ban that, then shouldn't we ban Lamar Jackson from running? Because that's tough to stop too. And I was like, yes, there we go. But yeah, you keep going.
Something that's going to be on the table pretty much every year until they actually eventually pass it.
Yeah.
So Philly, you got saved one time. I can't guarantee it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that unfortunately is how it's probably going to go. Hopefully, the teams that voted against the ban kind of stay strong until I guess the other teams kind of get tired of putting it up for a vote. But I think it was the right decision not to ban it because it is a football play. Now, I am of the thought that, hey, what's going on, Gene? And Gene, I know you have an ear for audio and stuff. I'm trying to work on it. You know, StreamYard's not picking up my microphone right now, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the tush push is gonna stick around. Like I said, if they wanted to balance it out and allow defenders to push against the D line, I would have been fine with that. But
Hmm.
just outright getting rid of it, I feel like that would be kind of appeasing the teams that have their own agendas for banning it because they struggled against it or whatever.
Like Jerry Jones, he flat out said that why would I want something? You know what Jerry Jones said?
Yeah,
And I'm like, dude, decorum.
yeah. So at least the NFL got that right. Um, I guess other things, the Lions pulled their reseeding off the table, which I know we
Because
talked
that
about when
crap
they
was
first.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Win your division. We're not going to have a division where there's a 15 winner, 15 game win, 13 game win, 14 game win. I don't think we're going to have that again.
yeah,
Win your division. Cut
yeah.
the crap.
Hmm. I agree with that one as well. I do think the proposal is a little intriguing in the sense that you may not just be looking at the NFC North last season where you had those three teams had really good years and one had a top four seed while the other two were wild card teams, but I think a lot of it's coming from the South. Some years could have a team with like 9 wins getting a home game. You had the Seahawks with Marshawn Lynch back in the day had a home game and they weren't a great team. They did win the game, so I don't know if that really validates anything. I feel like that's what a lot of this was driven by, but I agree with you. You win your division, get your top four seed, get your home game. And look, if you aren't worthy of it, then a better wild card team will come in and beat you. If you are really a good team, you got to win on the run in the playoffs at some point normally. So,
Think about the Titans AFC title run.
mm-hmm,
We were a wild card.
yeah. I
So I'm
mean,
like, what?
Giants won their Super Bowl as a wild card team. Like, yeah, I think with the NFL, like just getting in gives you a legit shot unless you're one of those that barely scrapes in and have glaring flaws in your team. But NFL's more so about momentum the last couple of weeks of the season going into the playoffs. Usually the teams playing well at that point are the biggest threat in January and possibly playing in February. So yeah, like I said, can't disagree with the NFL decision on either one. Well, the Lions just pulled theirs. I wonder if they left it up there how teams would have voted on it, but
They know they weren't going to get them 24 damn votes.
I'd
That's
like to
why they
think
pulled
so.
it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Is there anything else NFL wise you wanted to touch on before we moved on?
I don't know if we discussed that last week.
Oh yeah, Purdy.
But it was the middle of the pack salary wise. So I'm like, I expected that. I knew they were going
Mm-hmm.
to pay him. Now, are they going to continue to be able to field the team around him? That I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not know what the Bengals are doing. They continue to drag their feet when it comes to Trey Hendrickson. Stop putting all this unnecessary pressure on Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Field him a defense. And then the first round pick that you drafted to replace him, you messed up the language in his contract and now he's holding out.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. How many different ways are you going to bungle something?
Yeah, I think the draft pick one is the weirder one too.
The man hasn't played a snap of football and y'all are giving him hell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pro football. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Hasn't played a lick, and he's right to not show up for the to the workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Some ain't
Yeah, that.
right, and stop being cheap.
Yeah, but I think with the Purdy thing, I feel like the main question is going to be at what point does the quarterback market kind of reach its ceiling and start coming back down to earth a little bit?
I don't think it will.
But like, how high can it really go? What's going on, Key?
Hmm.
G's up there. Tony, what's up? Um, like, are we gonna get to the point where some quarterbacks making like 85 million a year? I mean, I doubt it ever gets 100 million a year, but like, if Purdy's making that, like, who's the next one to come up? Isn't like Lamar supposed to come up in a year or so? What are you gonna pay him? 65 million?
Do what they did the last time,
Mm-hmm.
which is wait.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to because it's going to reach a point where you just can't sustain it and field a legit team if you're going to tie up so much of that into a quarterback. And look, San Francisco had their own exodus of talent, whether it was Debo or Hufanga or these guys who were critical pieces to them making the Super Bowl. And now the Niners are a team with a franchise quarterback, quote unquote, based off of the price tag, and a lot of questions around them, especially offensive line. Which
I'm
what's the point
questioning the
of paying
coach.
30? Well, yeah, but it's like why pay the quarterback if you can't protect him?
Right. I'm questioning the coach.
I think that's fair.
When are we going to get to the point where Kyle Shanahan is overrated? Because I'm there.
Okay.
In the way that he just blows Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to prove that you're smarter than everybody else, Kyle. I'm not talking about you. I'm
Yeah,
talking about Shanahan.
I know.
You don't have to continue to do that.
Yeah.
I will never forget how he did Super Bowl 50, whatever it was, with the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, bruh. All you had to do, you could have kneeled for the rest of the freaking game and won that. But no, he had to turn he had to turn Matt Ryan into the MVP. I'm questioning that part. I'm like, how many? I don't think they'll fire him though, but I feel like within reason, his messaging will get stale. But I feel like they did the right thing, which is to pay Brock Purdy, and it wasn't an overpay. To me, that was an overpay. It was 265, and only like half of like 180 something was guaranteed, which is what I expected. I didn't think they were going to break the bank for him, especially because they know they have other needs to fill, like offensive line. Yeah. Anything else in the NFL that I felt like? Because I know we're getting ready to go into the NBA playoffs, but I did want to mention, I feel like this is a make or break year for Mr. Christian McCaffrey, because I'm like, can you stay healthy? And it's like, they paid him, then he missed most of the year. And I know he's going to miss his games, but at what point do you try to find an out to still continue to rebuild that team? I feel like the 49ers are in a retool. I feel like they're in a rebuild. And while I have the floor, I will go ahead and just mention my Titans. They signed Cam, 48 million fully guaranteed. Proud of it. Can we get rid of Will? I'm tired of Will Levis. Granted, he has aura. I just don't want to see him touch the field. Oh, and then some highlights from rookie minicamp. I do know that the receivers that we have are pretty decent. I like that. They've been showing up during the camp. I think with our situation, um, I think we'll be pretty ding dang on decent. We should win more than 3 games. I'm going to pray to God on that because I cannot sit through another season. I cannot sit through another 3-win season. I won't win more than 3 games. Um, what else? I was trying to wait for Kyle to come back because he's fixing his audio and whatnot to talk NBA playoffs. So if you have any other football related things you wanted to talk to me about, just leave a comment. Otherwise, there is one thing I did want to say in the NBA before we even go there. In his audio and whatnot to talk NBA playoffs. So you good?
How does it sound?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm StreamYard trying to keep your boy down. My microphone just was not connected, so I had to back out. So sorry about that, everybody. Yes, I was listening while I was doing it. You did a great job. You might be sad to see me back in the picture because you were killing it. Yeah, so I heard you talking about the Niners. I agree with you. I don't think it's a complete rebuild for them. I think they're kind of just reshaping the image of the team. Hopefully, for them and the Niners fans, Brock Purdy is the right guy to lead them forward. I did hear you talk about your Titans. That's good. They got Cam Ward signed, and he should be the starter day one.
He represented himself, by the way.
Yes, which probably shows maturity, level of intelligence. Like, it's not bad. Not
That's
a
how
bad
you get
start
a
for him.
rookie signed. Cough, cough.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with the NFL having it kind of slotted where based on where you're picked, what you're going to get paid, basically, it shouldn't be that difficult to get your guys in. But as the Bengals have shown us, not everything's a guarantee. So yeah, like I said, that was. Thank you for holding it down while I was getting that figured out.
So let's go NBA now and talk about. Oh no, sorry, Protector of the Year award. Forgot to talk about that. NFL announced that they have a new end of the season award for offensive lineman, Protector of the Year. I guess what are your thoughts on it? Is it something that probably is well deserved for, I guess, the players that at times can be can be kind of like ghosts because we don't necessarily pay attention to offensive linemen unless they have a penalty or they do something stupid to
Yeah.
kill a drive, something like that, or allow a sack. That's the only way we really pay attention to offensive linemen. But like, what do you think about Protector of the Year award from the NFL?
I like it. Gives them usually because when we talking about offensive linemen, usually it's negative. Something
Mm-hmm.
positive to put that position in a positive light for once. We know
Right.
they're important, but unless you have a really good offensive line like the Eagles or the Browns had a decent offensive line or
Mm-hmm.
what used to be the 49ers, you're not talking about it all the time.
Yep.
So I think it's a good thing.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now we can go NBA now. We got to talk about these playoffs because the conference finals have gotten underway. Kind of starting to see some trends with each series that I look. I never want to necessarily kill a team after a game or two and say it's completely over or something. But looking at the Wolves and the Thunder series, we'll start out west. After the first couple of games, what have you seen in terms of the matchup, and is there any hope for the Wolves in this one?
No, this is a horrendous matchup. You have one team that plays very disciplined, smart basketball, knows their
Mm-hmm.
limitations, and they're big enough with Minnesota. They're big enough to contend with Minnesota. They're smart enough to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy when you're going against somebody other than the 40-year-old led Lakers with an out of shape Luka Doncic and no TV, no defense,
Yeah.
or the Warriors. This is a different animal. Oklahoma City has the defense that can render Julius Randle and company useless. They've even shown proven to render Anthony Ant-Man useless.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is they go after one. And once they go after one, they shut one down. You with Minnesota and how undisciplined they are at times, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
They've been playing sloppy. Those lazy half-ass passes that has led to stupid turnovers.
Yeah.
Nobody can afford to not show up. And I'm even talking about Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
But Rudy's impact is minimized because he can't just lock down on one person. There's too many different moving parts to Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
City. This is like a Swiss Army knife.
Do you think? Because I agree with you with Rudy and Brett, who I do the show, on the ball and everything with, is kind of, I guess, the biggest proponent, not the biggest proponent, but biggest defender of Rudy, maybe on the network, because I think it is very easy to come down on Rudy when they don't play well. But I think some of that you have to look at the scheme, because
Mhm.
yes, is Rudy Gobert, Hakeem Olajuwon or Shaq or something? No, but you feel like you could put him in some actions that he could be a more viable option offensively. Because like right now, it's like he runs around, he sets screens. Then once he sets the screen, he's like chicken with his head cut off, running around to try to do something else
And then when you
because he
do get
knows
the ball, it's a mess.
now that part is on him. because he, in his mind, thinks he's like Chris Paul or something. He'll try to put like weird English on the ball. He'll do his Euro step and then like turn his back and flip it over his head. Like, I don't know what goes on in Rudy Gobert's head half the time he's running down the floor, but he should have some use against a Thunder team where, Chet Holmgren's not the biggest guy. Now, Hartenstein is a little different, but if he's matched up on a Holmgren or something, you telling me you can't put him in some kind of action to get him something at the rim? And I feel like that's like one of like 5-6 things that's just wrong in this matchup in general. So next question to you would be, for the Wolves, what is there anything that they can do to get back in this scheme wise? Or like what's something that they haven't done yet that you're looking for them to figure out if they want to win this series? That makes sense.
Play smart and stop being so goddamn reckless.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm talking to Ant-Man. Now, it was funny for him throwing that ball at SGA. That was hilarious. But why would you get a tech there? Why?
Right.
And he has to show up. He cannot no-show.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a team that plays with poise and plays smart. Mm-hmm. That's how you beat a young and reckless team. Play with poise and play smart.
Yep. Yeah, I think
the Timberwolves. I will give them credit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I look at them, it's like Randall was the star for game 1. Ant struggled. Game 2, Randall struggled. Ant played better, but he didn't play great. Naz Reid has been a no-show. He was a no-show in game 1 for sure. Game 2, he played a little bit better, but Naz Reid for last season or something was thought of as like the best 6th man in the league. Has not looked like that in this series. Like, it's to the point now, if he makes a perimeter shot, you're almost surprised by it. Last season, he would knock down open threes, and you'd be like, why are guys just leaving him open? Like, he was a dead-eye three-point shooter. Now it's like his rhythm's off or something, or is this something where his shot just doesn't look right when he takes it? I don't know if it's a confidence issue or what. But if Minnesota wants to make this legitimate, Ant, Randall, and Naz Reid have to be playing well at the same time. DiVincenzo will give you what he can give you, but you're not going to rely on him to be some scoring catalyst for you. We just talked about Rudy. Like, Rudy's main job should be cleaning the glass, getting these guys out in transition, and maybe like a putback dunk or two here or there. Like, their formula to win is there. They just haven't done it against the Thunder. And even when they look good, it's like a quarter here, quarter there. They get a little lead. The Thunder go on some crazy run, take over the lead, extend it out. That's ball game. So you need the Wolves to kind of show maybe some more mental toughness or something. Like, throw the first punch at Oklahoma and then just keep punching them. I don't throw the punch, get a lead, start celebrating, and just allow the Thunder to walk you down.
Right.
And I guess we'll see if they can do that when the series shifts back to Minnesota.
Because if they don't, because I know they're finna go home, but if they don't figure this out, they could be staying home.
Yeah, that is true. Yes. All right, let's switch to the East, where game 1 between Pacers and Knicks was crazy. Knicks looked like they're cruising. Big lead in the 4th.
And got walked down.
Right. It was not even like it was like the whole 4th quarter they were just slowly chipping away. It was like the Knicks had it like the last 3 minutes of the game. Then Aaron Neesmith turned into Ray Allen, couldn't miss a shot from three, and the Knicks ultimately were, saved by the fact that Halliburton's toe was on the line. Otherwise, that game ends in regulation,
Mm-hmm.
which Knicks fans would have lost it anyway. But it kind of reminds you of the Kevin Durant play against the Bucks. But then, they was it the Nets ended up losing that game. I was kind of afraid that was going to happen with the Pacers, that they'd had all this emotion thinking that they won to realize they only tied it, and that might have been a letdown. But you got to give them credit. They won overtime, won the game, took the 1-0 lead. I think the last time I checked, they were leading
1-0.
tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like the Knicks are playing a little bit better.
We know with the Knicks,
Yes.
with what they just did.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, with that game, I'm like, bro, the free throws.
Yeah.
OG.
Especially late. Yeah.
OG. And then he had a really bad missed layup that was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I said, the missed 3 free throws, poor execution,
Mm-hmm.
not defending the 3 well or making them at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Again, OG. But a part of me feels like, because I watched the game and I'm like, the Pacers sped these Knicks up and wore them out so they could collapse in 2 minutes. This is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They speed you up.
Yeah.
Oh, and Karl Anthony Towns in that stupid ass 3-point brick to end the game. What was that? No, what? No, for real.
Yeah.
What was that? It,
Yeah. So, how much of it do you think is maybe fatigue catching up? Because we all know when it's Thibodeau, that's what everybody looks at when they lose. Because he only plays 5 guys normally. He'll sprinkle in a sixth. If you twist his arm behind his back, he'll play a 7th guy. Any more than that, check his forehead. He must be sick. So could it just be that these guys are so physical that they might be wearing down now at this point? I mean, they have a halftime lead right now. I think they're up by 3 on the Pacers, but like you said, Pacers can drop 20 on you in 2 minutes, and you blink and you realize you're down in the game. So if you're the Pacers, you're fine with being down only 3 when you already won your game in New York. So do you think the lack of depth is starting to catch up to the Knicks right now
yep.
on that
But
fast break?
Tim likes it this way.
What's going on, Anthony?
I know.
Yeah.
I looked at that. I'm like, you wait till the playoff game to do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Not
don't know
only
if you
did
got.
you miss it, you missed it like that. Like, what the fuck was
Yeah.
that?
When I was watching, I was like, he clearly got caught between dunking it and laying it in, and then his brain froze, and his body just spazzed out and did that. That's the only explanation I could have for it. I don't know what that. And the wild part is, if he did that in Indy, you might be like, oh, maybe the crowd got to him. You were at home. No reason why you should do that. That's your moment to, showboat, get the crowd really into it, and he just, I don't, yeah. Like, you'll see it sometimes where guys get caught in between what shot to do, and it happens. But
That was
that
hilarious.
might be one
I'm
of the
like,
worst I've seen.
bruh, you look like you was dancing off freaking clouds.
Yeah.
And then the break to end the game. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Carl, that was the one thing you thought to do?
Yeah.
If you're gonna shoot it, at least let it break off the side of the rim, not the front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of shots late that were a little troubling. That that's the look that they kind of got.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, if the Knicks win tonight, series is 1-1. Not the best position for them because obviously you want to win all your home games, but they'll take their chances in Indy for games 3 and 4. Like I said, Indy, you're loving where you are right now. You stole game 1. You're not getting blown out so far in game 2, which means you have a chance to do what you did in game 1. We're late. You've shown that you're the more explosive team late. So if you need a 3, you got guys who can do that. If you need to get to the rim, you can exploit some things with the Knicks defense because that was the biggest problem for me late in game 1.
Yes.
A lot of the defensive breakdowns from the Knicks uncharacteristic. Like Thibodeau is a defensive-minded coach. Anunoby, Bridges, defensive-minded guys, and they weren't up to their standard. And that's how you let a team like Indy come back in the fashion that they did. So I know some people were looking at, Brunson with the play when he was trapped in the backcourt, and he kind of just threw that wild pass into the. I mean, he started to throw it off of the defender, but the defender jumped out of the way, which was smart on his part. Which that could have been a turnover, and Brunson would be looked at a lot differently. But I guess how much of the blame do you put on Brunson, who, as Reggie Miller tells us all the time, clutch player of the year? So some people may look at that, look at the fact that they had the lead. You have the clutch player. How do you not close it out? So how much blame do you put on Brunson for what happened in game 1?
He gets his blame. Because why would you do that? Why? That. I don't think they're going to do that. But...
Yeah, I would say we can discuss this in a little bit because I think it's an interesting thing to say. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a couple of seconds here.
I'm like, he gets his blame, but it really wasn't just him. It was a collective.
Mm-hmm.
The defense stunk.
Yep.
You forgot what the 3-point line was. Aaron Nesmith, should, like you said, turned into Ray Allen.
Yeah.
And the fact that some of these shots that he was getting off were so goofy looking and going in, I'm like, you just forgot that these people live behind the 3-point arc. All of them do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The wild part is those shots are why the Celtics drafted him, but he never played like that in Boston. They had to move on from him. Because a lot of those shots were shots he made at Vanderbilt. I don't know how much Vanderbilt basketball any of you watched, but that's literally what Nesmith did at Vanderbilt. Came off screens, knocked down threes for them. He kind of transitioned somehow into a defender because I don't think he was a defender coming out of Vanderbilt, but now he's a guy you throw out on the wing because of his energy and everything like that. He plays good perimeter defense. So yeah, I was happy to see, him kind of realizing his potential. So you gotta give him credit for that. But yeah, after like the second 3, I was like, hey, Knicks, he's doing the same action off the ball. And y'all are just letting him walk into open looks. No communication on the screen that he's running off of, nothing. That's what really surprised me about that. So back to Anthony's comment here. If the Knicks don't win it this year, that team's getting traded and rebuilt. I'd love to know, Anthony, by getting traded, who exactly are you talking about? But just looking at this, if they don't win it this year, I guess we'll say if you were running the Knicks, what would you do to improve the team so that they're better equipped next year? You don't have to give me a player or anything like that, but it's like,
Fire
is there a
Thibodeau.
person you'd get rid of and a certain type of player you would bring in return?
Fire Thibodeau.
Okay.
His philosophy is not conducive to winning a championship.
Okay.
You're not going to sit here and run 5 players into the dirt all season and all playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to a point where you need to have viable rotations. What is one thing I get on any Lakers coach about? Your
Mm-hmm.
rotations.
Yeah.
And I get the physical brand of football. I'm football. Damn. They
I,
play
I,
defense
I
like it's
understand what you're
football.
saying. Yes. Yeah.
They play defense like it's football.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna rough you up. I get the physical brand. At the same time, at what point do it get stale? I'm getting rid of him.
Okay.
And I'm kind of looking at Precious Achua a little funny too.
I'm glad you brought him up because he's a guy who was in Miami. People built up. He was in Toronto. People kind of built up. I gotta be honest with you. I don't see it. I feel like he's a guy who,
You forget he exists.
yeah, because it's like, what does he do offensively for you? He's not really a post up guy. He's not a guy you want shooting threes. He's not a guy you're going to give it to and let him create off the dribble.
Mm-mm.
Defensively, I think he's got some versatility on that end, but I don't think he's like a defender to the point where it's like he's a lockdown guy. So, yeah, is he not somebody you could improve upon? If he's going to be in your rotation, whether it is number 7 or maybe possible 8th player, if Tibbs wants to go that far, I think you could do better than Precious Achua.
Yep.
All right, so Anthony comes with OG gone, Josh Hart gone. I think
Now
if
I
you,
agree with Hart.
I don't know if Knicks fans would be okay with Josh Hart leaving. I think Josh Hart's role could change a little bit. Like, obviously, Josh Hart's not a great shooter, but at times, he's like their presence on the boards. When Cat's chilling like 6 feet behind the 3 point line, Brunson's not going down there. A lot of times it's Hart mixing it up with other teams' bigs. I think that is something the Knicks lost when Hartenstein left, and Hart kind of had to take on a little bit more of that. I think Hart's defense, and he'll occasionally hit a big shot. I don't know about Josh Hart. Now, OG, we can talk about OG Anunoby because they're paying OG Anunoby pretty well. He's supposed to be 3 and D and all that. But his consistency on offense is troubling for me. Yes, if I'm going to sit here and say that I'm a title contending team. Because Brunson, even Cat has his up and downs, but Cat, you kind of know what you're getting from him. OG Anunoby, over the course of the season, kind of morphed into the number 3 option because Bridges had such a weird year with his jump shot just completely leaving him early on. And then now playoffs, he's scoring a little bit better. So OG, if they moved on from him, I could see that. But I might even throw Bridges out there first. I don't know what you would get for Bridges, but they gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. Would you say he's been worth that?
No.
So I might say Bridges over Anunoby. I feel like Anunoby's been more consistent. I could live with that. Can you say Josh Hart and PJ Washington are the same player?
PJ Washington has more of a bag.
Yeah, I think PJ Washington can do more offensively than Josh Hart. I might argue that Josh Hart might be more of a winner than PJ Washington, though.
Right. You're talking about a Nick being a winner? Oh my God, are pigs flying?
No, I'm just saying in terms of the style of play that he has. I think if the Knicks ever were to win, I think Josh Hart's skill set would fit better than PJ Washington. I mean, Josh Hart hasn't won anything, so he's not technically a better winner than PJ Washington. Well, I guess in college, if you want to count that, but
No.
right. I mean, I saw PJ Washington. Wait, I saw PJ Washington in the finals the year before with the Mavericks. He absolutely ghosted on that series. So yeah, I'm not. No, I don't think they're the same player. Like, you got me thinking about who Josh Hart is. It's kind of hard to think of one right now, but I would say they're not the same player. Okay, so you said Tibbs you would fire. Precious Achua, his spot would be on shaky ground. See, okay. I do think somebody needs to talk to Tibbs about his philosophy. Like, you don't have to go like 11, 12 players in your rotation. Can you go 9? Like, can we compromise that at least? And then if, depending on how the game goes, if you want to shrink it to 8, we can live with that. But this like 6-man, occasional 7-man rotation, yeah. If he's gonna be stubborn like that, then I see where you're saying you move on from him. I do think Thibodeau's a good coach. I wouldn't necessarily fire him. Like I said, I would, even if Anthony wants to throw OG and Obi, I'd say OG and Bridges probably can't be on this team next year. One probably has to go. I would probably take OG over Mikal Bridges, but that's just me. I think their big man rotation might be something to look at. Because look, Cat's never going to be
a true big
Shaq.
man.
He's never going to be Shaq. And Mitchell Robinson is unreliable. He gets hurt mostly every year. We've seen his issues with the free throw line. Offensively, he's just a rebounder, if that. Defensively, he's a bit of a shot blocker, but when you see him move around the court, it's kind of rough to watch. So I think Mitchell Robinson is the guy they probably need to improve on this roster, that spot. Especially when you're playing the lineups with he and Cat. Yeah, I think you could have a better option than Mitchell Robinson. Good point by you, Anthony. Led to a good discussion there. So I guess to wrap up the series in general, I guess depending on how tonight's game goes, but I'm going to assume you would have more faith in the Knicks coming back against the Pacers in that series than the Wolves versus the Thunder. Okay, I can agree with that. I feel like anybody would agree with that. So are you going to say right now you're expecting Thunder, Pacers in the finals?
Yes. Because I want the meltdown of Knicks fans. I would love to relish in it. I want to see them cry because they overrate everything. Brunson's the best. About Brunson. I'm like, okay, I get it. Just like freaking Kendrick Perkins. And don't let me. I'll get into him in just a second because he said some stupid itch too.
Yes. They said Bridges is a good 6-man.
He is.
I gave a 5 first-round picks for a good 6-man.
That means he wasn't. They still lost that.
Kind of seems like you got robbed then.
Yeah.
But if he's going to be your 6-man, then you have to replace his spot in the starting lineup, though, because he starts right now for the Knicks. So, what I mean? I mean, for Knicks fans, if they ever win a title with Bridges there, they wouldn't care if he was a sixth man for what they gave up. Like you get your title any means necessary.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know about that one. Especially if his jump shot is going to be an issue going forward in his career, I would be worried about him. Now, he has looked better in the playoffs. I will give him that, but the regular season was rough. Okay. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think we're headed towards Thunder Pacers, and by you bringing up Kendrick Perkins did kind of trigger another thought in my mind. How dumb do these players look saying Halliburton was the most overrated player in the league?
They look stupid.
Like that
They
still
look like they're
baffles
hating.
me. That still baffles me that he's the guy that they picked. Like, what did he? I mean, the talking when they're winning and not when they're losing. Yes, that's an annoyance. But I was looking at some guys on that list, and I'm like, y'all can't tell me that you put Halliburton ahead of, I don't know, Zion Williamson, who can't even stay on the court, much less contribute at a high level.
Right.
Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy. Yeah, how'd that work out for Golden State? Um,
You were
I
waiting
don't
for
want to
that.
keep I don't want to keep kicking this man, but Trae Young, you got James Harden in the league, you got Ben Simmons in the league, like, and y'all picked Tyrese Halliburton. The next episode, do y'all see? So Jory says yes. Jory had if they lose, you fire Tibbs. If they got swept, I'm sure you're like, as soon as the
Yes.
game's over, you're like, clear out your desk, bye.
Bye. Because
I think
clearly
you
your way
can.
don't work.
I think that's the bigger thing. They need to get Tibbs to change his philosophy if he wants to stay. So that might be the way the meeting goes. You sit him down, you go, look, these shortened rotations all season, where is this team out by the playoffs? Are you willing to play more guys and trust what we brought you more? If he says no, he's going to do it his way, you got to kick him out. If he's willing to change a little bit, I think you could bring him back next year. I know some people say he looks like a gym teacher, which I could see that. Or like a
He does.
substitute science teacher. I could
He
see Tibbs
does.
walking in.
And he coached the Bulls like this.
Yeah.
Everywhere he's coached like this. You're not going to teach a old dog new tricks. I don't think it's changing.
What's going on, Damien? Mostly Kings fans. Well, this was based off of players, not fans. I don't even know who fans would say the most. I mean,
I
kind
didn't
of
know the
have
Kings
an
had
idea.
fans.
Hmm?
I didn't know the Kings had fans.
I wouldn't. The Kings have a loyal fan base. The problem is they're in the middle of nowhere. That's what people say. Like going to that arena, there's like nothing out there. And that's probably part of being in Sacramento, Northern California, as opposed to, the Lakers and Clippers and the Warriors being Southern California, where a lot of uh, stuff's going on. But Kings, look, you got to remember the Kings fans when they had Weber and Jason Williams like that and Mike Bibby. That was one of the best fan bases in the league. So I'm not gonna.
And what did
Yeah,
they
I'm not.
do to that fan base? They turned that into a miserable one.
Well, I mean that's on the front office not being able to. Yeah, because after Weber and them kind of moved on, there were some dark days out in Sacramento. And it's only last year you actually felt some optimism, and then look what they did with that team. De'Aaron Fox gone. So bonus is still there, but it's like they're kind of headed back towards being irrelevant again. So that's more in the front
Exactly.
office, but I think it's a good fan base. Yeah, I wonder who the players would have as the most overrated. I don't know, because some of these players obviously are petty, so who knows where they would go with it.
Cough, cough, Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Who's going to be a guy that's going to be every day in the offseason, you're going to be hearing that name. It's some type of rumor.
And on him, on some type of responding,
So Anthony says AD's overrated.
be
I
quiet.
feel like it depends on what your expectations are.
Be quiet.
Yeah, figure. AD is a big man with point guard skills because he had his growth spurt late. That's not a skill you find all around the NBA. I think if you feel like he's supposed to be like some top 5 player, he's supposed to like score like 35 a game and all that, then yeah, he might be overrated to you. But what AD is, AD is like a 20, 12, 15 kind of guy who plays really good defense. I would like to see him probably be a little more assertive offensively, like going in the post and just telling them to throw it down to him, but I wouldn't say he's overrated. Katie's going back to the Warriors. Him, Curry, and Jim. I'm telling you right now, that's not going to lead to anything better than this year.
That's not going to lead to anything productive.
It'll probably lead to KD wanting out by the trade deadline because we know with KD, it's like you sneeze the wrong way around, he wants out. Kings fan base are like the Browns fan base, only come out from hiding under a rock every blue moon or so. See, I don't think the Browns fan base is that bad either.
I think they're deplorable.
When I'm saying that bad, it's like you notice them. Like, I mean, like you say, you may not like them because they are a little much. They're like the Raiders fan base. Like the Raiders fan base has some psychos in it, but they're not like a terrible fan base. I'd say like the Dolphins are a terrible fan base.
No, the Browns. I remember them jokes about Deshaun Watson and them bringing dolls outside the game. I'm not going to let that go. They're deplorable and they're terrible human beings.
That's fair. That's fair. When I hear bad fan base, I'm like fan bases that like don't support the team. That's what
like
I think of bad fan base.
Like the Marlins?
Yes, that's a bad fan base. The Rays, bad fan base. But teams like Browns and Kings, like they'll support. I mean, the Hawks don't have a great fan base. Let's be real. Falcons are a little better, but Hawks is a horrible one.
Falcons fan base come out when they play the Saints so they can fight.
Yes. First of all, I don't know a Kings fan. That's fair, because I can't say I know one either.
Me either.
Yeah, I really don't know one. The Warriors get KD back, that'd be stupid. Plus, they're in cap hell. Good point, Damian. Yeah. And plus, KD had a chance to go there in trade deadline. He wasn't into it. Yeah. So he doesn't want the Draymond Green smoke. Because you know the two of them would end up fist fighting in the locker room at some point. But Anthony, that's a great point. I've never run into somebody who was like, I'm a Kings fan. Maybe they're all just centrally located in Sacramento. I don't know. Hey, Damien, that's for you, man. I mean, Damien, look. I feel like sometimes you can be a little negative towards certain players and stuff. Like, you should be happy with your Bears. They look like they could be a playoff team. Maybe.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, they have reason for hope. I don't know. They got Ben Johnson.
I'm not going there for the playoffs.
They got Ben Johnson, the Wonder Kid. They got they have an old line finally. They haven't had one in a few years. They have a quarterback. When was the last time they had a quarterback? Rex Grossman? Jay Cutler was. No, Jay Cutler was
serviceable.
Bears was a playoff team last year. LOL. I mean, they were the trendy pick last year. Trust me, they're going to be the pick again this year from a lot of people.
You know who's gonna
Yeah,
stink? Dallas.
okay, good. What'd you say? I mean, look, that's going to be something that we will talk about later on in a few weeks, like our playoff teams and stuff. We did do that last year. I can't remember how well we did in terms of picking them.
Horrible.
I may have to look back on it and compare to last year
I
to
had the
see.
Titans making the playoffs, and we won 3 games.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you had them as like the last playoff team in. That's just you throwing a bone at your team. I feel like a lot of us would do that. Go ask Saint fans; they'll probably tell you they're a playoff team next year, and you'd be like, "Yeah, clearly you're just high on something."
If a Saints fan walked up to me and told me we're going to the playoffs next year, I'm like,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. Saints going to tank for Arch Manning. Well, they had Archie Manning down there back in the day, and that was horrible. Does Arch Manning want to live through that again? But that is going to be a thing. People tanking for Arch Manning. I only had Bears winning 5 to 6 games last year, so okay, Damien, you're a responsible Bears fan. I can appreciate that. How do you have them winning this year? I would love to know that. But
you know what fan base isn't responsible? The Ravens.
Yeah, well, hey, don't burst their bubble, okay? They got Derrick Henry, they got Lamar, they got John Harbaugh.
Only to blow it up in 2 years.
Well, they got 2 years to finally get over the hump.
And watch it not happen.
Well, I mean, you can't trust them to beat Patrick Mahomes. Now you can't trust them to beat Josh Allen in the playoffs. So their best bet is
In a minute, they're gonna
hope
struggle
those
with
two
Cam
face each
Ward.
other, take each other out.
You heard me.
No, say that again.
I said in a minute they finna struggle with Cam Ward.
I like the confidence there. I mean, look, I don't know what Cam Ward's going to be. Like, his story is interesting. 0-star guy, goes to a school that probably nobody would even know where it's located. Then ends up at Washington State, still a school that doesn't really get a lot of, play on TV. Then goes to Miami, has a really good season. Like, Cam Ward could be legit next year.
Tune in and find out.
Exactly. I just don't trust Caleb, and I hardly trust him now after the report about him not watching tape and wanting to go. Yeah. The UFL part is.
I think Caleb
Damien,
Davis
I completely understand your lack of trust. Because if I was a Bears fan, I'd be weary as well. Because talking like that,
you don't want to be here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, talking like that, it's like if it really gets tough, you're expecting that guy to kind of bring you out of it? Probably not.
The fact that he did this one season after his rookie season, I'm like, you do this after your career there is done.
Mm-hmm. It's a bold move. Bold move. Let's see. So NBA playoffs, we kind of wrapped up. Anything you want to add on that before we move on?
No.
Okay. There was another quarterback that don't watch tape. I forgot who.
Jamarcus Russell.
Yes. Mike Vick didn't either. The Mike Vick story is wild. Who was his coach at that point? I think it was Dan Reeves. Yeah, I think Dan Reeves sent Michael Vick game tape with money in it, and Mike Vick never got the money, which lets you know never watched the game tape. And I think Mike Vick learned about that later on, which I think changed the way he kind of prepared. But there are some guys who think because of their talent, that's just good enough. And you got to remember, Mike Vick, like going along through his NFL career, like at Virginia Tech, he was unstoppable. So it's kind of easy for him to kind of feel like he was invincible. But that is wild to not watch tape. It's like that's literally your job. Game preparation. Oh, we got crime in the chat now. Anthony, aren't you a Steelers fan? If I remember correctly, Anthony is a Commanders fan.
He is a Commanders fan.
So Damien, there you go, Commanders fan.
Wait a minute.
That's a good line, Anthony. That's a good one. I'll give you credit for that one. Yeah, Damien Anthony is a Commanders fan.
I like what the Commanders have done.
I do too. I think what we'll realize through this season is that some teams are really smart this offseason. Like I said, the Commanders, I thought the Bears were smart. I thought the Panthers were smart with their offseason. I feel like Patriots made some smart moves. I think Denver played it kind of smart. I don't want to leave out any teams that were.
The Titans rebuilt their offensive line.
A lot of teams made some smart moves.
Titans rebuilt their offensive line.
Yeah, smart moves. I feel like that's what I think. Some of these teams may not win a lot more games, but they will be more competitive, which will give fans a reason to hope. Okay, next offseason they do a little bit more progress. That's all you want to see if your team did make the playoffs last year. So I think for you have reason to believe it'll look better this year. I know with me, Mike Vrabel, it will look better than it did last year.
I just know I won't have a quarterback that just won't have this attitude and just start chucking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My golly.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know how hard it was to watch that. And then to sit here and
we can imagine.
Like, bruh, don't do something stupid and then surrender Cobra with it on the field.
True. Yeah. So I feel like because I think the first week is like September 7th the Thursday before that, which I think is technically like 100 days away. I think if I'm correct with the start of the regular season. I think we do have to start getting into our list for next season. And we did last week with the watchable and unwatchable. So we'll probably have to do another one next week. What's going on, Gamer Kid? Appreciate you tuning in. Okay, Damien, here we go. Speaking of football, NFL, y'all must be on crack allowing players to play in the Olympics during football season. Well, the Olympics would be during the summer, so they would be off season anyway. That part, y'all, you can forget about that one. I think allowing them to play, I believe the rule is going to be each team is allowed one member to go. So it's not like so it wouldn't turn to a situation where it's like, oh, the U.S. Olympic team's like 6 Ravens and like 3 Eagles or something. Well, I think you get 12, but you get what I'm saying. It would be one player from each team max. So going with Damien's original, I guess, statement here, is the NFL on crack allowing players to play in the Olympics in 2028?
No, because why not? And I don't think any major stars are probably going to participate unless it's Tyreek Hill or something like that. Because it's during training camp.
I kind of think some will. hasn't Justin Jefferson said he wanted to do it?
Oh, he did. Well, I think they'll have a good mix of actual professional flag football players and NFL players. I don't think it's going to be half the league is going over there. That's not what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the fields that they'll be practicing on and whatnot will be vetted because there'll be NFL players on those
Yeah.
fields.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily too worried about it. Injuries are risking anything that you do.
What's going on, Gamer Kid? Eagles fan. Okay. That's good to know. Well, so Anthony and Gamer Kid, divisional rivals there. But so Gamer Kid, obviously, when we get into the NFL season, we'll need you to come back and kind of give us your take on the Eagles going through the season. But
I hear enough of that.
I mean, yes, but Gamer Kid is new. I believe
I'm
like last
kidding,
his first time
y'all.
stumbling in, so yeah.
I'm kidding.
I know. Yeah, I think the NFL is right to let their players go because the opportunity to represent the country, you can't. Why take that away from somebody? Now, the minute some star goes over there, if they pull something or something like that, then it'll be interesting to see how the NFL reacts to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all it will take for them to slowly back out of that, and then we get like college players going over there to represent the U.S., which I mean I'd be fine with as well. But I think for me it's gonna be like, what countries qualify? What type of players are they sending over there? Like, are we gonna get like an Australian team with like rugby players trying to play flag football? I think that could be interesting. We know that the NFL has like academies and stuff in other countries, so other countries that do make it will have some like NFL influence with their team selection. It's the first ever flag
Like
football
Tyler
team from the
Murray would
state.
be interested. Tyler Murray and one other would be interested in playing for South Korea because they're of South Korean descent.
Exactly, and I feel like that's where you'll probably get more NFL players involved, is like through dual citizenship and stuff like that, which I think it's kind of cool. Like imagine Kyler Murray leading like a group of flag football pros over in South Korea to an Olympic medal. Like that's like stories like that are what kind of make the Olympics the Olympics. So I don't have a problem with it at all. But it'll just be, what countries turn into like really good flag football players? I would have no idea where to start even thinking about that.
Germany.
Yeah, you figure like, Germany, maybe England. I don't know. If Australia brings over a bunch of rugby players, that might be interesting. Question is, who's going to play for the women's side of flag football, because we don't have a women's football league to represent the U.S. But there are women flag football players. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I do think, don't be surprised if by the time we get to the Olympics that there isn't a women's flag football league out there. If not before, right after. Because flag football is quickly becoming a big-time sport.
Yep.
So there will be a women's flag football league. I can guarantee that here in the short future. Yeah, I'm not worried about, U.S. Fielding a women's team. Yes, women's football in the South, absolutely. I might be more like excited to see the women's like flag football tournament more so than the men's. Because some of these girls are out here playing flag football.
Mm-hmm.
They got skills.
You know what is funny? And I will forever hate the world for it. I graduated in 2019. They made flag football a sport in 2020. I'm like, you.
Okay, Damien. We were on good terms, Damien. You went too far. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe some of them involved. because yes, LFL was.
That
You
was
know
a
what?
time.
You know what? Yeah, that was a time. And to give those women credit with what they had on, they were legit hitting each other.
Yeah,
So
they really
I'm
were.
gonna give those women credit. Yeah,
To have pretty much nothing on.
and they were laying each other out, and they're wearing like hockey helmets, basically.
That was a
So maybe
time.
maybe some of them will pop up. Is that not still a thing?
Wait, no.
Huh. I'm kind of surprised. Yeah. No, Damien, you're right. So yeah, some of them may pop up, or maybe like coaching or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'd be excited to see flag football in the Olympics.
Let me get into
Okay.
Mr. Kendrick Perkins first. Next, because I'm ready to rip his
Well, I was about to
ass.
say, is he part of your final burn?
Yes,
Because I was about to go into final burn anyway.
because he's my one and only one.
Okay, go ahead. Floor is
Cause,
yours.
like, bro, you over first this week
Mm-hmm.
has been one that I just wish that Kendrick Perkins would just shut the hell up. You did not talking about you this top world defender who just locked down everybody in the finals. You got carved up quite a bit. Do you not forget that we're old enough to remember that what you played like, Kendrick?
Mm-hmm.
I'm old enough to remember when you got drafted, Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with you? With your lion cap ass. I locked down Ginobili. You barely guarded him, you big old tree. What are we talking about here? You had from yesterday, or was it this morning? I don't know when he went up on ESPN talking about SGA the best member is the best member of the OKC. You thinking, what is going on in that brain? Do you have any sense? Is that just smooth brain material? Like, what the hell is going on? Every time Kendrick Perkins opens his mouth, I think he's on drugs, and not just weed, hard drugs. Like, bro, you can't honestly believe half the stuff that comes out of your mouth. And then he starts telling stories like he's just the best player in the world. Negro, you're not Michael Jordan. Quit it.
I mean, he'd probably tell you
No.
he'd probably tell you that he would give Jordan work.
He
So
would tell you, he'd give Jordan a bucket. I'd guard him.
mm-hmm.
This is what I would do. You would do nothing with your big slew-footed ass. You would do nothing.
Right.
Every time he opens his mouth, I get. I'm like, Kendrick, shut up.
Yeah. No, that's yeah.
I just had to get that out.
No.
Because with him and the whole SGA thing, I'm like, Kevin Durant's there. The
Mm-hmm.
people from the Supersonics are there. There's other people. He hasn't done enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once we start bringing championships in there, hey, Bella. Once we start bringing championships into the mix, whatever. But he hasn't done it's not there
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Yeah.
Does he have potential to be one of the best members of the Thunder? Yes. Is he there yet? No.
Right.
Like,
No, yeah. Because that discredits because obviously when you think Thunder, you have to throw the Sonics into it because it is the same franchise. So that's Durant. I guess say what you want about Westbrook. Uh, you know, Dennis Johnson, Gary Payton, guys like that. Like it is tough to kind of see you saying SGA based off of I guess the one MVP. He hasn't been to a finals, which maybe he gets there this year. He hasn't won a title there, which that's not to say like Gary Payton or any of them did it either. But I think SGA is on the track, like you said, to be the best player in franchise history. He's not there yet. I agree with you. That goes for some other ones because I've heard other people like, Ant is the, which I guess would probably lead into where my final burn was actually going anyway. We're kind of on the same wavelength, but it's like people are saying like Ant is the greatest Timberwolf ever. Kevin Garnett played there, so I give Kevin Garnett his respect. People talking about Jalen Brunson's the best Knick ever. The Knicks have a longer history of players than those other two teams, and it'd be hard to tell me that the Knicks their list would start with Jalen Brunson when you have guys who've gone through that franchise like Walt Frazier or even Patrick Ewing, who I still think is one of the more underappreciated Knicks players, just based on how I hear Knicks fans kind of talk about him. SJ giving OKC Rolex was wild. Not really. He got the money for it. But my main point for my final burn is going to be like, I was watching a TikTok video, and I don't know if you know like that Chill Town guy or whatever who talks basketball a lot. Mm-hmm. He was talking to this younger guy talking about Tim Duncan. And he was like, Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward of all time. Debate me on it. And the younger dude was like, Tim Duncan wasn't even that good. He's like, you think he could DS this? I was just like, we're not doing this to Tim Duncan now. We're not doing this. So the dude was like, Giannis is leaps and bounds ahead of him because of what Giannis can do out on the court. And the dude was like, what Giannis could do on the perimeter against Duncan. And I was just like, what is Giannis doing on the perimeter that Tim Duncan cares about? If Giannis hit a 3 over Tim Duncan, you think Tim Duncan's going to care? No, because Giannis will probably miss the next 15 of them. Whereas Tim Duncan, if you gave it to him on the low post against Giannis, he's crafty enough to get a shot over him with his bank shot or his little half hook. If you gave it to him in a face-up situation, Duncan could hit that shot or little quick moves. Like, why are we doing this to Tim Duncan now? I get it. Tim Duncan was the most vocal guy, but watch him play. The man was really good. He was fundamentally sound in every aspect of the game. And I feel like he kind of taught himself a little bit later in his career to play a little bit better on the perimeter in terms of his range. I think he extended it out like a little bit further.
He did.
But it's just like, there's a reason why Tim Duncan was a number 1 pick. Like, people tanked to get Tim Duncan because he was just that skilled on the basketball court. Mm-hmm. So we need to stop doing this where, players today have like a little inch of success and we're automatically like pushing, past generation grades out of the club all of a sudden. So to the younger guy that Chilltown was talking to, I think it's wild to think that Giannis would just give Duncan work and Duncan would not know what to do with him.
They make people my age look stupid. Y'all be making me look bad when y'all say these type of outlandish BS statements.
Yes. Especially when a platform that we are on right now, YouTube, is literally an encyclopedia. If you needed to know how good Tim Duncan was, you could find a billion Tim Duncan videos. The same thing I would say for some LeBron fans who are like, I never watched Jordan. Hey, hit up YouTube, put Michael Jordan's name in the search bar, have some fun. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem, all these guys. YouTube is a magical platform to find out how did those guys actually play basketball. So I just hate when, those debates happen between like two people of different generations. It's just like, there are ways to find out how good Tim Duncan was. Who was a bigger star out of the three, Manu, Tim, or Parker? Because in my opinion, Tim and Parker wouldn't be in the top 10 if it wasn't for Manu.
The bigger name was Tony Parker.
But that might be because of his he kind of had celebrity status with I'm drawing a blank on her name, but Manu was probably the flashier of the three.
He
I
sure
still say
was.
Tim was the better player of the three.
And that I agree.
But I mean, Damien is saying biggest star, so that is a little different. I mean, I probably would still say Tim. Manu carried the Spurs to those championships. No, look, Manu Ginobili was a great player. Yeah. What made the Spurs really good was the three of them worked so well off of each other. So, Damien, I'm not trying to take anything away from Manu. Because, yeah, Manu, yeah, you take Manu out of the equation, yeah, they probably don't win as much. I can agree with that. Because Manu was a guy who, big moments, came up and made big plays.
We'll get into the
I just saw this
team,
Darius
all
Halliburton is
NBA.
third team All NBA. That's wild. I mean, you want to close it with some All NBA? Because I can tell you the All NBA teams. Hold on. I don't think I actually saw the third team, so that would be good for me to. Or here we go. So here we go. So your All NBA first team: Giannis, SGA, Jokic, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. Second team.
Oh, they gave Jason Tatum some respect.
I think it's like his fifth year in a row, but he's not clutch. He's not that good. And oddly enough, if you look at the voting, Giannis, SGA, Jokic, and Tatum were unanimous. Donovan Mitchell wasn't. Second team, Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Evan Mobley, Jalen Brunson. Something about that second team doesn't seem right, but we'll come back. Third team, Cade Cunningham. Shout out to Cade Cunningham getting some love. Karl Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Williams, James Harden. Okay. Those are some interesting teams. Like I said, I mean, if you wanted to dive deeper into it next week, we could. But just your initial thoughts, just hearing those three teams, what stands out to you?
I like the first team. The second team is Anthony Edwards plus old guys.
Yeah.
Third team, it's at the third team is an interesting mix.
Yes. Like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Williams. Yeah, shout out to you guys. I don't think it's wild that Halliburton's on the third team. Also, Cade on the third team did get some first place votes. So he got more first place votes than Jalen Brunson, Evan Mobley, and Steph Curry did. I respect that. Okay, voters. Then other players who received votes. So the person who just missed out by 10 points, Alperen Şengün, then Jaren Jackson Jr. Then there's a big drop off before you get to Zubac, who he got third place votes. Darius Garland, Sabonis, Siakam, Bam Adebayo, Trae Young, Devin Booker. The three people who gave Trae Young third place votes, third team votes, I should say, turn in your card. Ain't no way.
Exactly.
I mean, that is a little different because Trae Young did actually have statistically a pretty good season, but he doesn't affect winning enough for me. But James Harden, who made this list, a sixth grader. James Harden did actually have a good regular season,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not mad at that.
He
It
just
actually kind of flew under the radar, surprisingly, as the Clippers kind of did most of the season. I mean, even the others were receiving votes. I'm not too mad at those, but yeah, James Harden was the last one in, beating out Sengun by 10 points. Yeah, because we were talking about the second team. The second team, yeah, Ant, LeBron, Steph, Evan Mobley, Jalen Brunson. You know New Yorkers gonna be mad that he's not first team over Donovan Mitchell, but cry to yourselves on that one. That team, I don't know, something about that team doesn't seem right to me.
it it seems wonky.
Yeah,
Evan Mobley.
I'm actually fine. So I'm fine with Mobley being All NBA. I guess the
Mhm.
question would be, should he be second team or third team? So let's just say he was third team. Then who in third team should be second team?
Hmm.
Like, would you put Cat over him?
No.
Right. Yeah, maybe I might be fine with Mobley. I don't know. Part of me might say I might make the argument of Cade Cunningham being second team over maybe even a Steph. Like if Steph was third team, because I mean, look, Steph is getting up there. I feel like Steph didn't have a Steph-like year necessarily.
LeBron and Steph are gonna be higher than what they should be because of name.
Yeah,
We gotta
and that
get
might
we,
be
we
it.
gotta live with that.
If you told me LeBron and Steph were on the third team, I'd be like, showing love to the veterans of the league. Yeah, yeah, that might be my only issue. Luka didn't play enough games to qualify.
Let's change that, sir.
I
Get
mean,
your ass in shape.
JJ Redick laid it on pretty thick. Jalen Brunson, second team, I'm fine with. Luka didn't play the 65 games. He couldn't. He was disqualified. Okay. So yeah, I guess next week we could probably talk a little bit more about All NBA. Yeah, next week we actually look at the awards like All NBA, the defensive teams. We could talk about that next week as well, and maybe MVP voting. We'll do that next week. So, yeah, all right, that's all we got for you. Appreciate all of you that were in the chat. Jory, you got anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Stay tuned for the blog. Watch the blog site. Um, I have an article coming out soon, and I should have some videos coming out soon throughout the summer. Um, I've been going through some shenanigans, but I did want to say May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Take care of your mentals. Take care of your chicken. Your brain is an organ. It can get sick. To the people who just believe mental health isn't real, your brain is a body part. It can get sick and not feel well.
Absolutely. Could not have said that better myself. Um, yeah, so if you go to our blog as well, I just did an article on the Patriots, breaking down their schedule and everything like that. I'm actually thinking about doing all teams, so bear with me on that one. But we have like 100 days, so I feel like if I do a team every 3 days, I might have it ready by opening kickoff week 1. So I did the Patriots. Like I said, I'll probably go AFC East as my next set, and then just go down the divisions. So, Damien, I'll get to your Bears at some point. Anthony, your Commanders. Gamer Kid, your Eagles. I will try to do articles on each of them, breaking down their schedule, observations, and I'm actually doing predictions for teams as well. So make sure you all do check that out. I'll actually put the link to our blog in the chat for you guys if you want to check that out. Let me get it here. So I'll link to, I guess, my latest one, and then you guys can check out the other ones on there. Let's see if that shows up. Yeah. So that link, go to it. That's the show's blog for our articles. So that's linked to my article, but then you'll see all of our other articles on there as well. And let me know what you think about my Patriots breakdown. Would greatly love the feedback. I did see that, Anthony, that the Pacers are winning now, which has got to be deja vu for Knicks fans. Knicks fans leaving crying would make dreams come true. Sorry, a little Boston in me had to come out there at the end. So make sure you do come back next week for another edition of Passion and Precision. Like I said, we'll start going like really full speed into our NFL preview leading up to the season. We'll have some more NBA to talk about. I mean, by next Friday, we might have a better understanding of who will meet up in the finals. So make sure you look out for that as well.
Another thing, and
Yes.
I have it. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to go ahead and just move on along, bro.
Yes, like block Aaron Rodgers' number. Act like he doesn't exist. Like get Will Howard ready. I don't care. Huh?
Not block his number.
Just stop thinking about him. Don't go on your phone and be like, oh, Aaron didn't call today. Delete it, block it, act like he doesn't exist. Go Will Howard. Go Mason Rudolph. I don't care. If you have to be bad again this year to get another quarterback next year, do it. Aaron Rodgers is not the answer. That preview is going to be an interesting one once I get to the Steelers. But yeah. Yeah, you might have to, Damian.
I'd rather hear the Pacers fans than Knicks fans.
Absolutely. That means Stephen A would have to be quiet. Thank you.
Yes.
But, yes. So appreciate all of you for tuning in. We really do. Like I said, follow that link. Check out our blog. Feel free to give us a like. Follow the blog as well, because we are. Well, I mean, George's pumped out more articles than me, but I promise you I'm going to start doing them more often. And if you have suggestions for articles for us, you can leave that over there as well. So thanks again. See you next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right, we're out of here. Bye.